We are not even at year one in the administration of Biden and Harris. And already there have been stories in the Los Angeles Times, in Politico, numerous stories in Politico. Now this CNN story over the weekend, how there's this massive dysfunction and how the White House is tired of Vice President Harris and her staff is not trusting of the White House. Here's what should be happening. Ron Klain, who is the chief of staff to President Biden, needs to squash this. This is where the chief of staff calls his folks together and say, cut the bullshit. The last thing that needs to be happening right now are all of these stories that are circulating that are attacking the vice president. You see the poll numbers, 28%, that people are saying, oh my God, lowest ever. And now you see the Washington Post, they're touting Pete Buttigieg. You're talking about a cabinet member who is far down the totem pole, and folks are saying, oh, maybe they should replace Harris with him in 2024. If the people who are in the White House and the people who used to work for Kamala Harris can't shut their damn mouths, well, then you know what? Y'all are going to make it real easy for Republicans to win in 2024. And for every single person who's in the White House who keeps talking about, oh, what's going to happen in 2024, you need to be focusing on 2022 before you start focusing on 2024. And I said this here, and then you had this idiot Glenn Greenwald, who pretty much is nothing but, if you want to see him talking, all you got to do is just watch Tucker Carlson with his nonsense. He actually took exception to a tweet that I sent out today. His exception was that if you want to see what's happening with the Democratic Party. So what happened was Michael Harriot actually had tweeted something out saying that you're going to see potentially the Democrats trying to replace Harris with Buttigieg, and I actually responded to that particular tweet. Let me find it right now because I just want to show you what's going on here. And see, you need to understand what's happening here. If people did not somehow see Vice President Harris as a threat, you would not have the constant attacks on her. And that's exactly what you're seeing. It's constant, one after the other, one after the other. They're portraying her as being a doofus, somebody who's clueless, someone who doesn't know what's going on, all of that. Okay, so those are the things that you are seeing that actually takes place, and the reason this really is important is because clearly there are people who are afraid of her for some reason. Remember all the attacks that took place when she was running for office? Remember how it was the troll farms that were specifically castigating her, tearing her apart, ripping her to shreds? Y'all do remember that taking place. So now all of a sudden you have more of this. Now all of a sudden it's, oh, she's not up for the job. And then the one that really keeps just got me just hilarious, got me laughing is, oh my goodness, she's disappeared. How has she disappeared when she's literally been involved in numerous meetings? President Biden has talked about the role that she played in the Build Back Better plan dealing with Congress. She just got back from France, a very successful trip. Here's a tweet right here. So Michael Harriot had tweeted, they finna leapfrog Pete Buttigieg over Kamala Harris. Watch. I responded, if the Democrats want to see a black female revolt, go ahead and try this. You're guaranteed to lose. So this idiot Glenn Greenwald goes, Democratic Party politics in 2 tweets. Well, actually, it's right, Glenn. Because, see, I'm telling y'all right now, and this is for all the folks in the White House and the folks who used to work for Vice President Harris who keep running their mouths. The last group y'all want to piss off are black women. There is no group that is more aligned with the Democratic Party than black women. Nobody. Not black men, not white women, not white men, Not Latino men, not Latino women, not Asian men, women, Native Americans, folks who are Jews, Christians. I mean, I can go down every single group. There is no group that's more in line with the Democratic Party than black women. But if y'all try to sabotage the first black female vice president, that's not going to bode well for sisters. Now, you got people out there who say, oh, well, black folks don't really like Kamala Harris. People hate Kamala Harris. All right, go ahead and mess around and see what happens. Because your margin for error right now ain't that great. And I'm telling you right now, play this game and you're going to wake up and see what happens. Because, see, here's the deal. It don't take 30% of black women for you to lose walking away. It don't take 20. It doesn't take 10. It doesn't take 5. If the Democrats lose just 3% of black women by trying to screw with Vice President Harris, y'all DOA. So go ahead and play the game if you want to. Melody, I want to bring you in because, again, as somebody that's been around politics, you see these stories. Of course, you're the convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. And it's like every 2 months, it's another story. Dysfunction. Oh, my goodness. She's lost. She's disappearing. We don't know what's going on. I follow the White House Twitter feed. I follow hers. I see photos. I see videos. I see all sorts of things. I see action she's taking. But here's the other deal. It ain't like I saw Joe Biden all over the place when he was Obama's vice president for 8 years. Hell, I can't even remember how many times Obama would have Biden standing at his side when he gave speeches or even speaking before him. I've seen more of that under Biden with Harris than I saw with Obama and Biden. What do you take of these constant attacks trying to portray Vice President Harris as being utterly clueless?
Roland, I'm going to say everything you said in these last few minutes, ditto, ditto, ditto. Now, when it comes to how some in the media are attacking her, that's one of the reasons I was one of the people I was with today was Joe Taker Edie with Win with Black Women. That's why we got together around Win with Black Women when they were attacking all, not just now Vice President Harris, but all the Black women who were up for consideration for Vice President just last year, right? So and understanding how women are attacked, but trust and believe, Black women are paying attention and are going to push back. And we got to push back in a systemic way as well, Roland, because at the end of the day, we have to go have conversations with some of these media folks, conglomerates, what is going on really with these attacks. Now, at the end of the day, we can support and challenge at the same time. We want this administration to do more. That's why we're out here continuing to fight for voting rights. We're continuously fighting for Build Back Better and other policy priorities, and we will continue to do that. But also, we know when the game is not even the word fair is strong enough. But when there is an attack, the attack on her in the way that it's going, it's an attack on Black women. It's an attack on us owning our power. And so I tell sisters, what they're doing with us, trying to do to Vice President Harris is an attack on Black women asserting our power, not just for ourselves, but for our communities. So it's also up to us to push back on what we're seeing with some of the things that are going on with the media. The attacks, the words, words matter, right? And you hear enough. Remember what they did to Hillary Clinton over time. And so people look up and they don't even, and then our own people will be the ones parroting some of this stuff and not being able to understand that they're being manipulated.
And I'm glad you brought up the Hillary Clinton point, because I need people to understand when a media narrative gets established and it gets set in stone, it is very hard to shake loose of that. That dogged Hillary Clinton in both of her presidential runs, when she was U.S. Senator, when she was Secretary of State, and was always there. And there seems to be a very clear game plan here. Again, here we are, we're 10 months in, and already we've seen 4 or 5 major stories. She comes off of this huge trip to France, and then folks like, oh, it barely caused a ripple. Well, here's the question, mainstream media. Did you cover it? Did you cover it? So don't say, well, it barely caused a ripple if you didn't even cover it.
Roland, I tell you, and we all have to fight back against this narrative. I as a Black woman, and you said it, I've been in this a long time, and I've seen it. And what's going on with her is an attack on making sure that she or any other Black woman or any other woman of color or any other woman thinks that they can be in position of power. She's one sneeze away from being the president of the United States. And the attacks that I saw, I think it was CNN, one of them, yesterday, it was really appalling. Even some of the commentary was off the mark. And again, unfair is not even the word. It is a systemic attack, and we have to push back on that. At the same time, this is one president at a time. She's not the president of the United States. She is the vice president of the United States. So she is also there as a partner on this administration. And so whether her numbers are a little bit lower than his, now they're all low right now because they've got to get more done. That's just the reality. And so.
Well, absolutely. And so, again, I just want our viewers and listeners to understand what is at play here. These stories are being dropped for a reason. And again, this is where the White House, damn the tweets sent out last night affirming their support. No, this is where the White House chief of staff calls the staff together and say, shut the hell up, focus on the work. You do not form a circular firing squad against our own. And that's what Ron Klain needs to do.
Yeah, and they have to do what they do on the inside, and we have to also put the pressure from the outside.
Yep, Melanie Campbell, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A Black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
The white attorney for the 3 white men on trial for killing Ahmaud Arbery, he continues to white. That's what he's doing. Today, he actually, y'all, they tried to actually get the judge to declare a mistrial. Not because something the prosecution was doing, not some jury misconduct, because Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was sitting in the courtroom. Watch this mess.
We need to move for a mistrial.
I move for a mistrial.
Based on?
Based on the presence of people in the courtroom and the public gallery.
Your Honor, I have to stop for one moment. We have a witness now on the stand.
If you go ahead and sit down, thank you.
And I do actually very much appreciate the court helping me maintain a record on this. We formally moved for a mistrial under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, parallel provisions of the Constitution of the state of Georgia. We contend that the atmosphere of the trial, both inside and outside the courtroom, at this point has deprived Mr. Bryan of his right to a fair trial. I understand that co-counsel vehemently disagree on some aspects of that motion, and if they don't want to join, that's their business. But I represent Mr. Bryan, and my concern, Your Honor, notwithstanding what in my observation would be extraordinary efforts on the part of the court to avoid anything that would interfere with the right of these defendants to a fair trial. At the same time, in extraordinary cases like this, additional steps have to be taken. We have not secured the front of this courthouse. The Transformative Justice Coalition still flies their banner virtually every day outside in what should be protected grounds. Your Honor, we have had numerous instances during several instances during jury selection of nonverbal communications between the victim's family and jurors, or from juror to the victim's family. We've had several emotional outbursts during the trial of this case, notwithstanding the substantial efforts of the court to ensure that they don't take place. And we have had civil rights icons sitting in here in what the civil rights community contends is a quote-unquote test case for civil rights in the United States. Eyeballing these jurors, including one today with his mask down, which the court doesn't want to make part of the record. Under Supreme... I rephrased that. Didn't make part of the record.
Thank you.
Yeah, I rephrased.
You made it part of the record.
Well, until the court acknowledges it, it's not part of the record.
Keep going, Mr. Goff.
Your Honor, the case law out there in mob cases and other cases demonstrates all the ways that presence in a gallery can influence jurors in a case. And I certainly don't mean to suggest that Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or any other pastor belong to a mob, but at the same time, we are talking about organized behavior by whoever outside the courthouse leading up to this case, where we have all these community leaders fearful that the city's going to burn down. This isn't a mob case. If you testify against a gangster, they might burn your house down. They might burn your business down. They're not going to burn your whole city down. And that is the concern that I believe jurors have expressed during the voir dire process in that a county commissioner, a mayor, school board member, a bunch of pastors in this community, both black and white, have been talking about. So in that context, we believe the totality of the circumstances, which is what this court looks at under Shepard v. Maxwell, under the totality of circumstances, this trial has been sufficiently infected, notwithstanding the best efforts of the court, to the point where Mr. Bryan's ability to receive a fair trial has become an open question. We think that line's been crossed. The court may see it differently, but we've made that for purposes of the record.
All right, it's in this court's discretion with regard to any outburst in the courtroom, taken into consideration, as well as the defendant's motion for a mistrial. So I cited a couple cases. Let's see, Forney, I think it's Forney versus State, 255 Georgia, 316, which actually recognizes that emotions are neither unreasonable nor unexpected during a murder trial. And the demonstrations and outbursts which occurred during the course of the trial are matters within the court's discretion to evaluate. The court heard exactly what I described on the record, decided to remove the jury briefly, and it was ready to get started. Based on that outburst, the court is not granting a mistrial. As to the totality of the circumstances argument, which I think is the second argument that was presented by Mr. Goff, That gets back to what I'm starting to watch very carefully as far as what's going on in this courtroom with the jury, as well as the arguments that are being made by counsel. I'll point out that a number of times during jury selection, it was raised that jurors were being influenced by individuals outside the court. And I think it was either 4 or 5 jurors were asked specifically whether or not they were influenced in some way by what was going on outside the courtroom. And they were not. There was no, actually, if I remember correctly, they didn't even recognize or see what was going on outside the courtroom. And as counsel are aware, because I have briefed counsel, there are steps being taken by the court during the jury trial to ensure that jurors are not influenced by anything happening around the courthouse. So then we start getting into what we have now with individual members or individuals coming into the courtroom. I will say that is directly in response, Mr. Goff, to statements you made, which I find reprehensible. The Colonel Sanders statement you made last week, I would suggest maybe something that has influenced what is going on here. In response to that, and to his credit, Mr. Sheffield made some comments, but did say, come one, come all. And so now the court is faced with balancing a lot of things going on outside this courtroom and doing it in a way that respects members of the public's right to be in the courtroom, as well as what I'm trying to put out there is a fair trial, right? So you need to understand, everybody, that your words in this courtroom have an impact on a lot of what's going on. And so my measured response at this point is to balance all of that out and try to move forward with the trial. I'm not granting a mistrial at this point based on these arguments that are being made, because I think, well, I'm not granting a mistrial at this point based on the arguments that have been made.
So the white attorney caused the whole uproar, and he's not complaining about the uproar. Joining us now is one of the attorneys for the Arbery family, Lee Merritt. Lee, this is beyond laughable to listen to this man, and he made some other comments where, well, Reverend Jackson, he doesn't, why does the Arbery family need him praying with them? They've got local pastors who can pray with him. And then for him to drop in here, oh, people are afraid they're going to burn the town down. It's going to be riot. This white attorney is throwing out every racist thought, every racist thing he can think of in order to get these racists off for killing Ahmaud Arbery.
No, that's exactly it. On the one hand, they're arguing that Wanda should be strong enough to sort of deal with seeing the grisly details of her son's murder by herself, without making any outbursts. Because a part of the motion to dismiss, the trial of a motion for a mistrial today included the fact that she let out a slight whimper when a picture of Ahmaud was introduced into evidence. And so, while she's dealing with this very difficult thing, they're saying that she not only does she have to deal with it quietly, she should also have to deal with it alone, and without the support of our full community. It's beyond. It used to be cute, it's no longer cute. This person is harassing a grieving mother during the murder trial of her son.
Well, and the thing that's just crazy to me is, well, why can't she get a local pastor to pray with her? Why does she need Reverend Jackson? I mean, okay, he was eyeballing a juror.
Right, eyeballing a juror. Nonverbal communications being alleged.
Okay, so the jury walks in. If the jury walks in that way, is Reverend supposed to do this here? Turn away and don't look at the jury?
And if you really look at the breakdown of the courtroom, there are 3 rows reserved for the 3 defendants and their family. Wanda's role is in the very back of the courtroom. So she occupies the last row with Marcus Arbery, Ahmaud's dad. And they each get one person to come in the courtroom with them. Typically, it's one of the attorneys in the case so that we gather all the evidence for the federal suit. And then there's a pastor who's helping them with the grieving process. But in front of them is the mother of the men who murdered her son, is the wives, the children. And then directly in front of them is of course, defense table with Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, Roddy Bryan sitting there, the men who actually murdered her son, just feet away from her. And she's supposed to deal with all of this with no support and no noise.
Well, I don't know what his attorney thinks, but guess what? He's about to see a whole bunch of black preachers and black people on Thursday at 11 a.m. We are going to be in Brunswick, Georgia as well, live streaming that news conference. They're expecting a minimum of 100 black preachers. I'm hearing it could be as high as 200 or 300 who show up in Brunswick, Georgia as a major show of force. And so if this judge wanted to see some black preachers, he's about to get his wish.
And Roland, I've been speaking to Al about that. There are 200 confirmed pastors coming so far, and we expect that number to grow. We just want to emphasize, as people come to the city of Brunswick, we encourage you to come stand with this family. Just know this is a solemn gathering. The media will be asking a lot of questions, and they're going to be looking for sound bites that appear to intimidate the jury. So we're asking everyone as they come to know that we're coming to grieve together with the family of Ahmaud Arbery. We're not really there to engage the media, and to the extent that we do, our message is the same. We're here as a show of support. We have every right to support and stand with a grieving family and a community during, one of the most important trials of the century.
Well, we will certainly be there with our cameras as well. Lee Merritt, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It really is incredible to listen to that white attorney, Tammy, make those comments, and specifically singling out black preachers. There are white preachers. There are Jewish rabbis who have been standing with this family, but no. Is black preachers. Don't want the black preachers in court.
You know what, Roland? You are absolutely correct. And this is the same attorney who earlier in the trial, he was talking about during jury selection, he mentioned how there were not enough pretty much uneducated white men on the jury because the jury needed to represent a cross-section of the defendant's peers. And he alluded to some of the arguments that, black people make whenever, we have been faced with all white juries and having these very egregious types of trials against us. And he's trying to flip it, so to speak, to cater his narrative for his white defendant. And he's the attorney, the one that we saw the clip of, that's the attorney for Roddy. And just so everyone understands and remembers, Roddy is the one who recorded the very gruesome murder of Mr. Arbery by Travis McMichael and Gregory McMichael. That's the father and the son. But this is ridiculous, and the attorney should be feeling very embarrassed, because I believe that the judge's response to this motion for a mistrial was extremely proper. The judge has been coming across as fair and impartial, and really has been trying to make sure that the trial is focused on both sides being able to present evidence and the jury being able to absorb that evidence and deliberate and come back with a verdict without any distractions. And I think this lawyer here, based off of the judge's response, the lawyer himself is the distraction at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, Eugene Omokongo, I just want to play for you, again, even more insulting comments that Kevin Gold said as Reverend Jackson sat in the courtroom. Listen to this.
The issue that Ray brought up previously is, how many pastors does the Arbery family have? We had the Reverend Al Sharpton here earlier, last week, and I'm not keeping track, and I think the court has indicated the court doesn't intend to ask anyone to keep track of who was in the gallery. But I don't know who Mr. Jackson, Reverend Jackson, is pastoring here. My understanding is, and I was given names, that the Arbery family have local pastors. They also have attorneys. Mr. Arbery Marcus has a team of lawyers to comfort him through these proceedings. Certainly, Ms. Cooper has been amply comforted by her legal counsel. And we are concerned about whether it's conscious or unconscious, the impact of their presence with respect to the jury and with respect to the proceedings in this case. And I guess the next question is, which pastor is next? Is Raphael Warnock going to be the next person appearing this afternoon? We don't know. Your Honor, I would submit, with all respect to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, that this is no different than bringing in police officers or uniformed prison guards in a small town where a young black man has been accused of assaulting a law enforcement officer or corrections officer. As I have noted before, the city of Brunswick is indeed a fishbowl. Your Honor, I understand that the court, maybe I misunderstood the court the other day, but I think the court had indicated it was the court's understanding or assumption that the Arbery family is giving up seats in the public gallery so that these gentlemen may be present. With all due respect, Your Honor, the seats in the public gallery of a courtroom are not like courtside seats at a Lakers game. There are no First Amendment rights in the public gallery of a courtroom. There is no standing of any particular individual to be present in the public gallery of a courtroom. And there is no reason for these prominent icons in the civil rights movement to be here. This is a case that has been postured in.
So here's what's a trip to me, Omekongo. He's whining and complaining. Did you see the white woman who was in front of the Reverend Jackson? Now, you heard Lee Merritt say that the other rows reserved for other family members. That white woman's like, what the hell is this fool doing? You heard the judge also say, your other counsel, they disagree with you. The other guys like, man, if you don't sit your ass down, you about to make this thing worse for us.
It was sad, man. First of all, on a good note, I got to give props. This kind of connects to your last segment, quite honestly, because to see the young people protesting and to see our elders, Reverend Jackson, just shows that, we're in a really good space of where we're going and where we've been. So I wanted to give a shout out as it relates to that. But I feel like this lawyer, sort of like with the Rittenhouse judge, I feel like these guys are angling to be like their next Fox show contributors right now in terms of what they're doing. But I am a little bit concerned, Roland, that his antics are really going to influence this jury. He said, to go to what Tammy was saying earlier, we need more Bubbas, on the jury. And I feel like what he's doing might be successful. And that's the part that kind of scares me, because this judge is not being assertive enough in shutting him down.
Well, here's the deal. He's making the arguments outside the presence of the jury, but what he's also doing with the constant interrupting, Eugene, it does have an impact as well. He wants to disrupt the flow of the trial. And what's going to happen on Thursday, you're going to have a show of force, and he's going to be able to say, see, look at all these preachers here. Well, you open that can of worms, deal with it.
Look, you mess around, find out. And that's what's going to happen here. Look, the thing is this defense attorney has pretty much let us know that he's a racist above racist, right? And for what it's worth, he's running the conservative talk radio playbook. Demonized Jesse Jackson, demonized Al Sharpton, even brought in Raphael Warnock. I think, look, the next person to probably come comfort this family at the court case should be Senator Warnock. So the thing is this, I think this judge is proper in denying a mistrial. There's been nothing here to warrant a mistrial. If anything, it's been the defense's antics and tactics of trying to break the flow of the trial, trying to break the flow of the information being delivered to the jurors. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing the 200-plus pastors show up in force. And let's see what, this racist defense attorney that is showing his colors every day in his courtroom has to say about that.
Back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess with really long hair who was waiting for a prince to come save her. But really, Who has time for that?
Let's go. Feeling myself. I'm feeling
She ordered herself a ladder with Prime one-day delivery, and she was out of there.
I'm with some hood girls looking back at it, and a good girl in my tax bracket.
Now, her hairdressing empire is killing it. And the prince? Well, who cares? Prime changed everything.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
Two Kentucky sheriff's officers are leaving the police force after their membership in the KKK was made public. Captain Mike Lauren and Deputy Gary Fisher were members of a cop faction of the KKK called Confederate Officers Patriotic Squad in 1985. Lauren, well, he's retiring, and Fisher is resigning amid the findings. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office said both men are remorseful for their actions. Yeah, right. The Louisville Urban League said these men cannot be trusted to protect and serve if they were ever affiliated with the racist group. I'm sorry, really? They were remorseful?
How are you going to be remorseful for something that you paid for? I'm sure that the KKK has dues like every other organization. Like, I don't, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to be, you know, quip and witty about it, but that's just a very odd sentiment to have. And it's odd because it's false. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. Although the irony is not lost on me that they were KKK members and sheriffs when sheriffs were basically like the legalized version of the KKK for many years. And that's low-key probably how they got into the sheriff's department in the first place. Yeah, no, they're not remorseful at all. You pay to go into the KKK.
Yeah.
You know, there are fees, there are dues, there are things that you got to do, and you did them. I don't get it.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
Folks, this is a live look of the Glenn County Courthouse. This is where the trial is taking place of the 3 white men who are on trial for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. It has been quite emotional over the last week. Today, the defense, they actually took possession of this case. The prosecution rested on yesterday. And one of the men actually took the stand today to describe what took place on that day when Ahmaud Arbery was gunned down here in Georgia. Like I said, we are here in Brunswick, Georgia. Tomorrow, more than 200 black pastors will be here as a show of force, making it perfectly clear that attack on the black clergy and this family will not be tolerated. One of the white attorneys for one of the men on trial for killing Ahmaud Arbery, he was critical and demanded to the judge that black pastors not be allowed to sit with the family of Ahmaud Arbery. The judge rejected that, and so you're going to see a show of force tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll be broadcasting that live right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. Before I play video of what took place in the courtroom today, I want to turn to the father of Ahmaud Arbery, who joins us right now. Sir, glad to have you here. Marcus Arbery Sr. had you on the show before. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Hate to do so under these circumstances.
Thank you.
But I have to ask, to see what took place today, to hear Travis McMichael go on that stand and give his version. Many have said that he absolutely lied about what took place. What was going through your mind as you listened to him talk about what took place in taking the life of your son?
Oh, God, that's the hardest thing I ever had to deal with in life. But I just seen that he just really crippled himself when he got up there because all his lies was not adding up. And we seen all this, and Lord have mercy, he had time to think before he grabbed them guns and went out there, him and his dad, and gunned my boy down. They had time to think.
One of the man who owned the home testified last week that nothing was stolen. And I talked to Reverend Jackson, and he said in talking with you and Ahmaud's mother that your son often would look at houses under construction and was studying those houses because he said he was going to build y'all a house one day.
Yes, that was his dream. See, he was going to school to be an electrician, and he was getting ready to go back to school. His number one thing always was dream that he wanted to build me and his mama a house. See, his mama had a house he bought that wasn't never built, but he just wanted to build one. That was his dream.
And he would go into houses under construction, and he would study the layout, and then would go back home and make drawings in the notes.
Yes.
That's what he was doing.
That's what he was doing, yes. Because my boy, he didn't have to take nothing. He had that to do. And he didn't do that. So I already know what time was that. Because I'm going to tell you something, while he was studying his dream, me and his mama, his brother and sister, them were making sure he all right. He had everything he needs, so he didn't have to take nothing. So that's why I knew that was a lie.
You've heard these attorneys say they need more Bubbas on the jury. You've heard them attack black pastors saying, why do they need to be sitting with the family? It is abundantly clear that the attorneys for these three white men, they are trying to play on race, because what they need is they need one of those white jurors to say not guilty.
That's right. Wow, Roland Martin, you just said the number one question. You know, they're just trying to act like race don't play a part in it. It does. You can see it every day. It's showing you. You know, and it's just bad. You know, it's hard for African-American people to get justice when a white man wrong. They think it's all right to just kill us, and the system don't work for African-American people. You know, they want to think it's two laws, one for white America and one for African-America. But that's a lie. It's one law. Everybody's supposed to be treated equally. And the law's supposed to treat everybody equal. Now, if you done wrong, you got to be accountable. I don't care what color you are.
For people out there watching, listening, who some have not been following this story, who was Ahmaud Arbery?
Oh, God. He was just me and his mama baby. He was the baby out of the three children of mine. And I tell you one thing, he acted like he was the oldest because he was the leader to us. He always wanted us just to love each other and get along. I tell you, I can tell you so much stories about him, it'll break your heart. Some stuff that he was doing to help people that I didn't know he was doing. But I knew his heart was in the right place. You got many people came up to me and told me, say, when they was going through something, Ahmaud always lift them up. And he always lifted his sister and brothers up, all his kin people. It just, I just can't understand why would you kill a young man like that with a heart like that when you all you had to do is talk to him. You can't talk to him balancing a gun. You balance a gun to him, who gonna talk to you when you balance a 12-gauge shotgun and a 357 Magnum? And you got a 5,000-pound truck trying to run him over. So who gonna talk to you like that? God, it just, oh God, I just can't understand this. It's just trying to take us back to Emanuel Till. You know, it's the same thing going on, but they're just trying to do it in a different modern way. You know, my boy was lynched by these three white men. And the evidence shows you that every day. You can look at what's going on. You look at the trial. Pay attention to the trial. Yeah, white man's doing crime in that neighborhood. They didn't never call the law on them. They didn't ever draw no gun on them. They didn't ever pursue them. So look at the evidence in this. Race does play a part in my son losing his life.
And when you hear people say, y'all focusing on race too much, the real issue in America is not race, it's class.
It's a lie. We can't keep hiding the truth. You cannot keep hiding. These guys killed my boy and they were left out here 72 days. It really tried to cover his death up.
Yeah, it wasn't. If it was not for the public outcry, I mean, you have these DAs who were going to let these guys just go on.
Yes, go home and get rid of evidence. But if a black man did a white kid like that, would have killed us on the spot. We'd been dead on the spot. We wouldn't have been able to go home or nothing. This stuff ain't right. So how in the world African-American people can trust this system when they keep doing us like this?
Well, the defense will continue tomorrow. It is going to be a significant show of force tomorrow as well. And so we will be here broadcasting that. It was important for us to be here and to be able to tell this story as well. So we've had you on the show before. We appreciate you stopping by again. It's not easy at all, but we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Roland.
I appreciate
Thank you very
it.
much.
My brother. Thanks.
I like you because you keep it real. You tell the truth what's going on for real.
That's why we're here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
God bless you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thank you.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Betty is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now, she's free to become Bear Hug Betty. Settle in, kids. You'll be there a while. Ooh, where you going?
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
I came across this story. It is out of upstate New York, where a confessed rapist has received probation because the judge determined it would be inappropriate to send him to prison. Christopher Belter Jr. pled guilty to third-degree rape and attempted first-degree sexual abuse, along with 2 counts of second-degree sexual abuse. He sexually assaulted 4 teenage girls. Yet Judge Matthew J. Murphy III placed Belter on probation for 8 years. Now, Belter also has to register as a sex offender. Attorneys for the victims claim Belter's white privilege and wealth attributed to his light punishment. Now, the judge said that him having to register as a sex offender would hang over his life, and he would have to deal with that reality. And Robert, the judge said he prayed on this decision. This story is so crazy. Hold up, I gotta further unpack it. The story is so crazy because they had these parties at his home. His parents were participant, supplying the girls with alcohol and marijuana. They also go on trial, and they said that this home was like the party house. He raped one girl, and she said she looked at the leaves to take her mind off of it. So this wasn't like a guy who fondled a girl's breast. That is still grossly inappropriate. No, he raped, sexually assaulted 4 girls, and the judge said, "Now, you shouldn't go to jail."
I think people forget just the sheer power that state and Superior Court judges have in this country. And my new push is to get more black lawyers to run for judge. It's a thankless job. You spend a lot of time calling the calendar most days, usually not exciting, but we're going to have to get on these benches across the country. We got to start running for judge. We have to start running for DA. We have to start running for Solicitor General, because the only way that we make changes in the system is to become the system itself. And so I think that's going to have to be the push going forward, because the amount of leeway that many times judges have in deciding cases and deciding sentencing, even when there's an agreement between the defense counsel and the prosecution, the judge always has the option to divert from that agreement and issue whatever verdict or whatever sentence they feel, and you can either take it or leave it. So it's very important for us to really get into the arena and become those judges, become those prosecutors up and down the line across the country, because we're going to continue to see these misuses of justice as long as we're on the outside looking in.
This is, I remember the case, Monique, out of California, where it was a Stanford student who sexually assaulted a young lady, and the judge did not send him to jail. This is even more egregious. This were 4 underage girls who he raped, and the judge goes, yeah, it'd be inappropriate for him to go to jail.
She's frozen.
Monique there? All right, we'll get her shot straight. Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's even worse than what you gave us, Roland. As I researched this case, these were more than one incident. There were an incident with 2 young women when he was underage, and he got probation, I think, on the first 2, and that if he completed probation, he would get youth offender treatment, which is even more egregious, because then, as a juvenile, it won't be on his record, if you will. Then you had the second 2, right? And because he had completed the first probationary period where he'd get youth offender treatment, like he would in most jurisdictions, now that's the basis, arguably, why the judge said, well, he completed the first set of probation, and he's continued to have contrition, and he hasn't gotten any more trouble before, and so I'm going to give him 8 years of probation, and that won't be easy. Are you kidding me? That is an outrageous determination. And if he were black, the tropes of Mandingo warriors sleeping with these young white girls, they would have thrown the book at him. Look at Jimmy Gardner. He played for the Chicago Cubs in West Virginia. Alleged sexually assaulted 2 white women. He got 70+ years as a first offender. I don't care where this jurisdiction is. It would have been different for black people, and it just burns you up. It's offensive, actually, to our criminal justice system. And there's no way for it to appeal the sentencing, if you will, by the government. And so I think my colleague is right about getting more black judges. But how about this? How about just better judges, period, right? Who have a sense of justice and fairness and equality.
Monique, one of the attorneys for the victim, said when it happened, she raced into the bathroom and just threw up. She could not believe what this judge said and did.
Right, but I'm just not surprised. It's unfortunate, the imbalance in the system, but we find that imbalance both ways. I dropped off, so I couldn't hear what one of my colleagues said, but what we also find is that the type of leniency and the type of use of judicial discretion that sometimes should be given in these cases is not given when it is black and brown people. So you have people who are charged as adults for sexual misconduct, for rape or for sexual assault, for things that happened when they were teens, for things that happened that were arguably consensual, and there is no equitable remedy offered. There is nothing offered, and they end up serving jail time. So it goes both ways. And I didn't study all of the particulars of this case to know whether any leniency was required. But it is not as simple to me as whatever gets done to the Black people should get done to the white people. What really it is sometimes what is happening for the white people should also be happening for Black and brown people.
Well, Monique, I talked about I talked
so
about youth offender treatment earlier in the case, and so there was some of that going on. But it's still an outrageous decision. These 4 young white women, they could be white, red, white, blue, or yellow. They were raped, which is a crime of power and punishment and violence. There's no way you can escape punishment when you do that to a male or female, Black, white, yellow, or brown. You've got to suffer. And you can rehab all you want, but you can't engage in that deviant behavior and escape jail. Are you kidding me? Bubba should be waiting for him right now. He should be.
To that point about not being able to appeal the sentence, you know what? This is one of those things where you go after and you get that judge off the bench. This is just
absolutely
beyond egregious.
Absolutely.
This judge should never, ever determine another case after this ruling. Back to our Roadmark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Betty is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Bear Hug Betty. Settle in, kids. You'll be there a while. Ooh, where you going?
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A Black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Wow. Roland was amazing on that.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig? So many of us know about the assassination of Malcolm X in the Audubon Ballroom. And since that took place in 1965, many have said that the individuals who were arrested, who were charged, who were convicted, who went to prison, were not responsible for that crime. Well, Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance is absolutely agreeing with that. And on tomorrow, they will formally be exonerated as a result of what took place. It is an absolutely shocking and stunning development when you think about what took place. And that is the Manhattan DA, along with defense lawyers and the Innocence Project, they are going to ask a court to dismiss the convictions of 83-year-old Muhammad Aziz and the late Khalil Islam. The New York Times, they're reporting that evidence was withheld during the trial of these individuals. They say that the FBI and others had information that pointed to someone else being the trigger man. These individuals actually had alibis that were legitimate alibis at the time of the shooting. Witnesses testified of the person who they saw shoot Malcolm X, not even matching the description of these two as well. So much conflicting information, and this has been discussed for a number of years. It was last year when the documentary dropped on Netflix. Well, one brother was so focused on finding out the truth, who killed Malcolm X, and his work also was critically important in terms of shedding light on this case as well. And he joins us right now. Let me bring in Abdul Rahman Muhammad. Brother, glad to have you here. How you doing?
It's my pleasure, Roland. Thank you.
So for people who, again, who may have seen the newsreels and heard about the story, lay out for folks what their version of what happened and what was described, and now what we're seeing about these undercover cops who were in the ballroom who no one even knew existed, and how that information was being withheld. Because you really did a great job with this documentary of really nailing down who was behind, who was the trigger man and the ringleader behind the assassination of Malcolm X.
Yes, Roland. The prosecution's case at that time involved only 3 men. And according to their theory of the case, it was these 3 men who both created the disturbance or the misdirection in the back of the room. And then once they created this misdirection and this distraction, that they then rushed the stage and carried out the assassination of Malcolm X. They actually fired weapons, a Ruger, a pistol, and a sawed-off shotgun. Now, what we have always been saying, we the scholars who have been studying this issue, is that there were actually 5 men involved in the squad that murdered Brother Malcolm, and that there were 2 men in the back who created the disturbance, and 3 men who sat in the front with the weapons. The first and the most deadliest of which was William X. Bradley, who went on to become known as Al-Mustafa Shabazz. He is the shotgun assassin who bore no resemblance to Thomas 15X Johnson, Khalil Islam, who they say, according to their theory, fired the shotgun. And also they say that Norman 3X Butler was also one of the shooters. They say that he fired the .45. However, he was not there either. And yet both of these men were convicted in 1966, and they both served at least 20 years. In the case of Brother Norman 3X Butler, today Muhammad Abdulaziz, who we expect to be exonerated tomorrow, along with Thomas 15X Johnson, Khalil Islam. He served 20 years, and Thomas Johnson served 22 years.
But also, these men, this has been a scarlet letter. They have been seen as the murderers of one of our greatest leaders. And only one of them is still alive to experience this exoneration. One died being called the murderer of Malcolm X.
Roland, I remember researching these men and looking at their prison records, and it says first-degree murder. And I said, man, that's a hell of a thing to carry for the rest of your life, especially when you didn't do it, and especially when it is such a towering giant and leader of our people, Malcolm X. It absolutely destroyed their families. Brother Muhammad Abdulaziz, who will be in the courthouse tomorrow and at the press conference, he has no relationship with his children nor his grandchildren because of the stigma, because of the shame associated with being the alleged assassin or the convicted assassin of Malcolm X. It was absolutely horrific.
The shameful thing that happened here as well, which Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance talked about. He's, first of all, apologized on behalf of law enforcement. The withholding of information crucial information that should have gone to the defense attorneys. We've got 3 attorneys on our show today. And to think about, had they had that, Vance is saying, had that information been revealed, in all likelihood, no jury would have convicted them of these crimes. And actually, it would have led to a proper investigation of the individuals who actually committed the crime. But NYPD, FBI were not interested in doing what was right.
Roland, you know what's so appalling about this whole story is that we've known for many decades now that the FBI had 9 undercover informants in the Audubon Ballroom, and the New York City Police Department, through its Bossy unit, Bureau of Special Services, had at least 1, possibly more, but one that we know of, Gene Roberts, who was an undercover police officer for the New York City Police Department. And none of these people, who were all witnesses to the assassination and gave very detailed descriptions of what the assassins looked like, not one of them was called to the stand. In fact, they weren't even, their names weren't even revealed to the prosecution team such that they could be called to the stand, or the defense for that matter.
It is absolutely shocking and stunning. It goes to show you how deep COINTELPRO was, how the NYPD and the FBI despised Malcolm X, and frankly, they clearly were happy to see him no longer walking on this earth. Why did this gnaw at you? And how long did you pursue this effort to try to get at the truth of what happened on that fateful day in the Audubon Ballroom?
You know, Roland, this question has always bothered me from my earliest days as a freshman at Howard University, where I first was exposed to the story when one of the convicted assassins, Talmadge Hayer, was doing interviews with Tony Brown and Gil Noble and others, trying to get these 2 brothers exonerated. This goes back, 40 years when I first was exposed to it. And it just, it begged for attention. It was a story and a case that could not be denied. And it just needed someone to actually care about it and carry it to the end. And it just so happens now that we're living in an age where the United States is trying to reckon with, its racist, troubled past. And it just happens that we're living in that era now where it's not as dangerous to deal with this type of material. So, I'm happy for the brother Muhammad Abdulaziz tomorrow will be exonerated, and brother Khalil Islam. However, it's a bittersweet victory because no one can give him back the 20 years that were taken from his life. No one can restore to him the relationship with his family and his grandchildren. And it's just a really a sad and a disturbing story.
And for those who saw that Netflix documentary, you uncovered, if you will, the individual who many believe was behind it. And this person ended up being a prominent figure in New Jersey, if I'm correct, and has since passed away.
That's correct. Living something of an open secret. Well known. In fact, that's the problem with this whole case, is that from the very beginning, from the time the convictions came down, it was never accepted by the historians and the researchers who have looked at this case, because it was well known in the Muslim community who the actual assassins were. And as you say, the last one to pass away, William X. Bradley, his name was Al-Mustafa Shabazz, was his Muslim name for the last couple of decades. He was given a hero send-off and was considered a pillar of the community, and was given a funeral some would say was more majestic or celebratory than Malcolm X's own funeral.
Wow.
That is striking. That is striking. I think so. My panel, each one has a question. If I could have just ask one question of you, because this is again a fascinating story, and you spent a whole lot of time. I'm telling you, people have not seen the Netflix documentary. You definitely want to check it out. Robert, you first.
And it's interesting. I did see the documentary on Netflix. Also took a class on political theory, Malcolm X, back when I was at Clark Atlanta University. So this is a subject I've been fascinated by for so long. How deep do you think the hole goes when it comes to determining exactly the people who are responsible for the death of Malcolm X? Because it seems a lot bigger than even these individuals. How deep do you think the rabbit hole goes, and do you think that will ever fully be explored?
Well, to tell you the truth, hopefully this is just the beginning of the revelations, because the Manhattan DA was able to unearth evidence that even we were not privy to. Keep in mind, the Manhattan DA can request governments through the Freedom of Information Act unredacted, see? So when you see our series and you see all the names that are blocked out, they can request those documents fully exposed. So, and they also were able to, detect other evidence that was not privy to us, and we're going to see. We know for a fact that the COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover, that there were at least 3 high-level FBI informants in the top leadership of the Nation of Islam in the middle of the 1960s. So yes, we're going to, and we also have to find out, was the government protecting this shotgun assassin?
Monique.
Yes, I was just wondering what, if any, reaction there's been from the Shabazz family.
Well, because the story is just breaking today, I have not had an opportunity to speak to. I normally speak to Sister Ilyasah Shabazz, and I have not had an opportunity. I mean, the story is just like literally breaking, as we speak, and I have not been able to find out what her thinking is about it today.
Scott.
Yeah. Brother Rahman, where do we go from here? Are the real assassins and the co-conspirators, are any of them still alive? Are we demanding that the Manhattan DA's office do more? Is this an ongoing investigation? Will anyone, who's alive be held culpable for his assassination or not, in your opinion?
Well, I think now it's just an issue of trying to just determine what exactly happened and how deep our government, if at all, was involved in the assassination of Malcolm X. What role did they play? Were they merely instigators and stoking hatred and vitriol against Malcolm in the Nation of Islam, or did it go further? To the point of actually, recruiting assassins to carry this out. I mean, these are the kind of questions that we would like to interrogate the government on. But this is a political question. It requires a political power. It requires a voice. And this is the reason why it's taken so long to get to the bottom of this thing, to the extent to which we have already in the series. Is because it just was no political will to do it. There was no advocate for these brothers. They were just forgotten and locked away.
To work with the DA's office in Manhattan, Alvin Bragg is going to be the new DA and an African-American brother. And I hope that you continue to press the issue. We all need to press the issue, because this is bittersweet, because there's still a lot of unanswered questions as well.
Well, let me share this with you. What we do know is that Talmadge Hayer, who filed these affidavits naming his co-assassins, he is the only one of the 5-man team that is still alive with us. All the other accomplices have since passed away.
Thank you.
Abdur-Rahman Muhammad, look, great work. This is, of course, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And yeah, there should be a complete investigation, not only the Manhattan DA, but also on the federal level as well. Because, again, if there are individuals who are in the FBI who knew about what was going on and they're still drawing pensions, look, they should also have to atone for what they did by being silent and in their involvement in the assassination of Malcolm X.
Thank you, Roland.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on that.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?